Hey dude, welcome back. In this video we're going to be talking about Chapter 1 of Hoard of the Dragon Queen, Greenest in Flames. If you missed my introduction video, you can click here to see that, and if you're a player, be wary of spoilers ahead. And if you're a DM, let's get right into this thing. We wouldn't be doing our jobs as Dungeon Masters without doing our own research and investigation into the towns that we are going to describe to our players for their characters to explore. So, let's go through what the book says about the town of Greenest. The town of Greenest was founded by the halfling Darva Scatterheart, a rogue who fancied herself the Queen of the Greenfields. Scatterheart passed away without ever achieving that level of eminence, but her town grew into a thriving community. Its success isn't surprising, since Greenest is the only town of any size astride the Uldun Trail, the most direct road between the eastern cities of the Dragon Coast, Cormyr, and Symbia, with the coastway running south to the great cities of An, Tether, and Far Kalimshan. The trade caravans that pass through Greenest bring gold to the town's merchants and craftsfolk, and Governor Nighthill runs the town at the behest of its inhabitants. The adventurers might be on the road from one town to another or returning to their homes after a trip away. Alternatively, they could be accompanying a merchant or wealthy traveler as bodyguards. Many restless young people of Faerun have their first taste of travel and adventure as caravan guards. You can adapt Tyranny of Dragons to different regions of the realms or to different setting with a bit more preparation on your part. Change the names and locations to suit your campaign. As characters approach Greenest, they see that a blue dragon and its Cult of the Dragon allies are attacking the town. The cultists seek to collect treasure that they hope to present to Tiamat upon her arrival in the world. The cult has assembled a powerful force for this raid by gathering bandits, kobolds, sellswords, and other mercenary types into a small army. A monk named Leosin Erlenthar was also in town. Through diligent research and interviews conducted during his travels between Burdusk and Candlekeep, Leosin became convinced that the cult is engaged in a big operation, but he doesn't yet know what it is. Leosin uses the raid as an opportunity to infiltrate the cult so that he can learn more about the cult's plans. He is discovered and captured, however, and needs the characters' help to escape from captivity. Characters can engage in several encounters while cultists and kobolds rampage through Greenest. If you have ran the Lost Mines of Phandelver or the Dragon of Icespire Peak from respectively the Starter Kit or the Essentials Kit, you can adapt Greenest to be Phandalin after you've ran those adventures. If you want to continue on from where they left off, it's totally fine. You can just throw those right in there. If that's something that you plan on doing, or if that's an idea that maybe you might want to pursue. As soon as the players enter the gates of Greenest, they witness a human family being harassed by 8 kobolds. This family consists of an adult female and her husband, who is grievously wounded, and their 3 small children. The book doesn't specify what the genders are of these children. You can make those up however you want. But the husband is definitely very grievously wounded. He's down to 2 HP, and he's useless in a fight. But his wife has taken quite a brave approach to this. She's trying her best to fend off these kobolds, but she is just a commoner, and her spear is broken. But she's holding her ground. The players can choose to intervene here, which is probably what they're going to do, but they can sit back and just watch this happen to see how it plays out. That's cool too. But after this happens, they will be guided through the town by this woman or another random townsfolk, or they can go on their own, however you would choose to handle that situation as a DM. But they are going to have to roll on these encounter tables, which I usually don't use rolling on random encounter tables because it's just kind of not fun. But for the purpose of this, it could be very useful. It's a very chaotic situation, and having random encounters rolled on a table really suits that aspect of it. I like having one of my characters roll on these tables just to add a little bit of fun to it. There's kind of a convoluted way that they go about it though. Something about rolling a d8, and if they roll below a 4, nothing happens, or if they roll above a 4, an encounter happens, and that's just kind of weird. I would just say just roll the d8, whatever's on the table, that's what they're going to encounter. It could be anything from 6 kobolds to a couple of guards. Maybe they run into a cultist. It's just really fun and random. By the way, this woman, her name is Leanin Swift, and she has her own little stat block. Well, it's the commoner stat block, but she starts with 8 hit points, and she has a broken spear that she can help attack with. She's very useless to the party, but if things go awry and desperate, they can use her. There's also an option for stealthy players, or if your group likes to hide and maybe try to find cover, they can roll DC 10 dexterity checks along the way, and if they fail a check, then they can roll on the table, or however you would want to go about it. But I think it's a good idea to introduce them to some combat here to kind of get a good feeling of the rivalry that they're going to build up with this cult. Which, speaking of which, there's only a few cultists that are actually wearing their regalia, as they've hired a bunch of raiders to kind of do their dirty work for them in this section. They can be seen busting in windows of businesses and houses and shops, and as they're doing that, they're also trying to burn them down, but this town is ingeniously built mostly from thatch, which doesn't burn. So that's a pretty cool thing to keep reminding your players that they're trying, but they're not really doing too much considerable damage. And they're not really attacking people either. They're just more worried about the loot. So as they go through this town, they're seeking the keep that's in the middle of the town. And as they arrive, they're amongst the last group to just theatrically arrive as the guards close down the large, heavy wooden door and close the iron gates. And you just make that like a triumphant moment to your players that they've achieved something. It's been a bit of a chaotic run here, but now we can actually get a sense to find out what's going on here. Maybe take a little short rest and bandage up any wounds that we've may have received during our combats. After the characters arrive in the keep, they will meet 2 very important NPCs. Well, one's more important than the other, but they each have their rightful place as the first big major NPCs that they're going to meet along this quest. The first of which is Governor Nighthill. The man who runs Greenest is Tarball Nighthill, a human male of 60 years. If characters ask who's in charge, they are directed to Nighthill. He is pacing atop the parapet of the keep when the sky is clear, or inside the keep if the dragon is attacking. If the characters don't seek out the governor when they reach the keep, he finds them. Either way, Nighthill welcomes them and takes them to the parapet. From there, they have the best view of Greenest. The right side of Nighthill's face and head are bandaged, his right arm hangs in a sling, and his light blue tunic is stained with his own blood. He received these wounds during the early stages of the attack and hasn't spared the time for more than a cursory first aid. The second character that they will beat is Castellan Escobar the Red. Escobar is a shield dwarf with knotted, tangled, bright red hair. As master of the keep, Escobar is in charge of its defense and the best source of information on the tunnel and the sally port. He carries an enormous ring of iron and brass keys to the many locks in the keep. All the events in this chapter take place in one night. That should be noted first and foremost. And having said that, you should also run this whole chapter in one session, just to get it all right out of the way. We get the story started. It kicks off pretty heavy, in my opinion. So as they enter the keep, and they've talked with Governor Nighthill, who's going to explain things that he's seen. You can ask him questions about his wounds, and you can make up all kinds of fancy ways that he received these wounds, and give the character that he doesn't care about his own safety, or that he didn't spend so much time laying in a cot somewhere in an infirmary. He wants to lead his people and find out what's going on and keep the people of his town safe. That's first and foremost from this guy. You should make him a respectable kind of a do-gooder for his town, which is great. So he's going to be your source of missions for this next little section. There's about 6 of them, I think. There are 6 missions that he's going to give you. They're all they can be done whenever the players want. They can be hashed out through the night as you guys go. And whatever ones, I didn't do them all. You don't have to do them all. I would pick probably 2 or 3 of them that you really enjoy and go from there. And I'm gonna kind of give you a brief little run through of each of these missions. So the biggest problem facing this town is obviously the adult blue dragon that is just taking over this town and just wreaking havoc. He is killing several guards of the keep as he goes, and you want to describe that this dragon swoops in and just starts taking out as many guards that are on the roof. And it should be made aware that your players of a first level have no chance against this dragon. They will be wiped out, total party kill. Combat's not the way to go. So I would recommend having a party member that can speak Draconic, or I had a party member that could use telepathy, and it didn't matter what language the creature understood, it understood her. So she was able to kind of talk the dragon down and make him leave, because the book even states that he's not really invested in this. He's just kind of going along with it, and maybe there's some hope that Tiamat will return, and that's obviously something that a blue dragon would want, but he doesn't know if the cult's for real yet or not. So keep that in mind, that this dragon can probably be talked into going away. Or maybe your characters have some gold to spare. It's kind of unlikely at this stage, but maybe they have some gold, maybe they have a magic item, or maybe they can tell it a lie. Just anything, just whatever you can make up. But definitely, the book says that if your characters can do 40 hit points of damage to this dragon, it'll leave on its own. But risking a player going up there and trying to deal that much damage to this dragon that's far-fetched, to say the least. I would not recommend doing. The next important mission, in my opinion, would be the Old Tunnel, which it was built a long time ago, and it was built as an emergency exit system for this keep in a weird way, but they've never used it. So having said that, it is decrepit, and its disuse has left it in disrepair. Escobar offers his key ring to the party so they could go down and unlock it, and that'll be an easy way to get in and out of the keep without the raiders outside knowing of it, as this old tunnel leads to the stream outside. The lock is way down at the end of this tunnel, and as they go down the tunnel, there's a couple of swarms of rats, which I put in my game, but I didn't use, as it was just kind of a little overkill in my opinion. They've already battled through to get to the town, and to have them die in the sewer from a swarm of rats after that would just be an insult to them. But you definitely want to maybe make this lock situation at the end of it, a good little introduction to puzzles, because the lock is old and rusted, and the key doesn't even work. Somebody that has thieves' tools, or has a good dexterity or sleight of hand, would be a good character to try to get this lock to work. They have to beat a DC 10 dexterity check, and they have to have a set of thieves' tools to be successful in breaking this lock. But once they get out, they are in the stream, and there are many raiders out and about, and this would be a good opportunity for your rogue in your party to maybe show off his muscles a little bit and start taking down some foes without any help from your other party members, as mine did. Another mission that is given to you, well, it's not given to you directly by Governor Nighthill. It just kind of happens, just at some point while they're in the keep, either whether they've returned from another mission, or if they've just kind of been lounging around in this castle taking a rest. The Sally Port on the other end of the keep suddenly gets bombarded, and cultists with a battering ram beat down the door, and they come rushing through, and it is up to Escobar to kind of hold off the first little wave. But as it goes through, the characters are going to have to fight through 1 acolyte, 4 kobolds, and 1 ambush drake. The ambush drake is going to be pretty tough for the first level party. It might be kind of a good little mini boss for this chapter. Give them a good little fight. And then after that, they are charged with repairing the door. And while they're repairing the door, another group of enemies comes in the form of 1 guard, 3 cultists, and 4 kobolds. And after that, they can kind of fix this door up, and if somebody in your party has a mending spell, that would work as well. Other than that, they just gotta fix this door. Another mission given to you from Governor Nighthill is the Prisoner's Mission, where he asks the party to bring back just a prisoner for him and his guards to interrogate. It could be a low-ranking officer, it could be one of the raiders out and about, or if they can snag their hands on a kobold or 2, that would be great. Just anything that you can bring back that they can interrogate, and he would be super appreciative of that while they're out either saving the mill or saving the people that are trapped in the sanctuary, or if they're just going about being heroic. He just wants somebody to interrogate, and depending on what they bring back, depends on the information that they learn. If they bring back a kobold, all they really learn is that they're working for some dragon lady, which is going to end up being Resmir, which is going to be one of your big bad evil guys at the end of this thing, and that can maybe be a good chance to foreshadow that there is a higher power involved here. If they capture a mercenary or a bandit, they don't have any care in the world about this cult. They tell them that this is the cult of the dragon, that they've been hired to just basically steal all the gold and treasure that they can, and they also heard that there's rumors about a camp and some dragon eggs, so that'll lead you to, hey, there's a raiders camp nearby and they got some dragon eggs. That's pretty useful knowledge if they can nab themselves a raider or a mercenary or whatever you want to call them. If they do happen to nab themselves a cultist, though, the cultists are tight-lipped. They don't tell anything willingly. And if your characters or anybody tries to intimidate them or try to persuade them, they have to beat a DC 10 Charisma Intimidation check or a DC 12 Charisma Persuasion check, respectively. And even then, they don't get a lot of information. The book says, for the great Hoard that will usher in the reign of the Queen of Dragons. That seems like a bit too much information to give away to your characters at this point, especially from a devoted cultist. In my opinion, the most that they would probably get is maybe that there's a camp nearby, but that's even a little much. The cultists are a little bit more die-hard than that, so maybe not a very useful nab for the players. At some point while your players are in the keep of Greenest, Governor Nighthill should take them to a window or high up on the roof to look over the town to see if they can spot anybody that's leading this charge, this group of raiders. And it is successful. Through all the chaos and carnage, they find Frulon Mondoth, who you're going to learn very soon is leading this entire charge. She's in charge of this troop of the cult. She's one of the wearers of purple, and she uses a cleric stat block. Well, she has her own stat block, but she has cleric spells, and she's quite capable in her own right. Her character should not approach this woman by any means. She will flatten your party. The next mission I want to talk about is Save the Mill, which is given to you by Governor Nighthill after someone on the parapet of the keep discovers that there are fires being set around the mill. And this is a huge problem because this is a farm town, and the mill is basically their biggest income and source of basically everything that this town thrives on. So this is immediately urgent for the party to go out and extinguish these flames and get rid of all the people attacking it. This is something that I want to talk about, is the map that's included in this book is, you can tell that this is the inaugural campaign because there's a little bit of mistakes in here. The first of which is the mill on the map isn't even numbered. You don't know which of these buildings is the mill, so you have to go through. It tells you that the mill is 500 feet from the keep. You see that the keep is here in the center, and you see that there's a little indicator down here of how many feet is there, so you can judge that this little squared area up here in the top left corner, that's most likely the mill. That's what I used to be the mill. So as the characters are going through there, they're going to have to do the thing where they roll on an encounter table, or if they're being stealthy, they don't have to worry about that as much. If you want to use that, you can. If you want to set up your own encounters, that's fine too. But like I said, I like the randomness of the encounter table in this, because who knows what they're going to find. Once they get there, they notice that there's nobody actually outside attacking this mill. There's just random fires set, and if they try to extinguish them, they extinguish very easily. And then all of the doors of this mill are locked, except for one. And any astute player that would be, hey, this might be a ruse, is going to have advantage on a perception check, because this is a ruse. This is an ambush for sure. Frulon Mondath has noticed that the characters' heroics have been happening about town at this point, and they've set up this ambush for the characters to run into in this mill. So however many people are in your party, you're going to add one cultist and one guard per character, and they're hiding in this loft in this mill, and the mill is still running, because as the attacks happened, it was still in operating hours, so the noise should be a factor here. Maybe they don't hear footsteps on the loft, they just hear this long grinding stone as it goes round and round and round, but eventually the attackers will attack from the top, throwing their spears down, and they'll gain a surprise round. But this should be a pretty easy fight for them, and even if they do get their asses handed to them a little bit, the guards that from the town are sent by Governor Nighthill, they've just returned from some other combat, and this is a good opportunity to show that, hey, the party isn't the only heroes in this story. There's heroes all in this town. The world moves around them. I think it's a good idea to throw that in there, like, your party are heroes, but there's other people here. They're fighting for their town too. They come, they relieve the party, they can go back to the keep or wherever they want to go after that. I think that's a good thing to have in this story. The last mission that is either given by Governor Nighthill or just something that randomly happens as the players investigate the town is the Sanctuary mission. And this is by far the most tactical mission, and it's going to be a good introduction on there's multiple ways to approach any given situation, and this one is a very deadly situation, and it's one of the few times that I recommend splitting the party. I would not tell your party to split the party. Let them figure it out for themselves. So, the Sanctuary is under attack, and many citizens have barricaded themselves in, and this is a temple of Shantae, which this town obviously worships, being that Shantae is like the goddess of agriculture and nature and such. But inside, there's a group of town people. Outside, there are 3 groups of foes. The first group consists of 1 dragon claw, 2 cultists, 6 kobolds. They're outside and they're just trying to ram this door open. They're just trying to get inside. Maybe there's some valuables in there that they really want. This is a temple after all. There's got to be some statues or whatever they can throw into their treasure hoard for Tiamat. The second group consists of 3 cultists, 10 kobolds, 2 ambush drakes, and they are stretched 50 feet with processions, with leaping and whirling kobolds, completes 1 circuit around the temple approximately every 8 minutes. So they're just kind of circling around here, keeping guard, making sure nobody's coming that shouldn't be coming or leaving. They're just kind of skulking the area. And there might be a chance that your players run into this group. You can decide that however you want. The last group consists of 2 cultists and 6 kobolds clustered tightly around the temple's back door. Their meager fire produces little flame, instead creating prodigious clouds of thick smoke that engulf the back end of the temple and blanket its surroundings 30 feet of ground. So they're basically just making a big smoke cloud back here. They're the weakest group by far, and they're probably going to be the easiest target for your group. So what I suggest is maybe relaying that your party can maybe make a distraction out front while another group goes out to the back to take out these bums that are really failing at their job. But it would be a good idea to convey that there's a lot more going on here and to just be alert of all the different ways ways that they can handle a situation. But anyhow that they do it, once they get inside the temple, everybody that's in the temple is in a major panic, and they do not listen to the party, even though they're on their side. They're there to rescue them. They are very much in a state of shock and fear, and it's going to take a successful persuasion DC 15 check to calm them down, or if they can seek out a NPC called Adion Falconmoon, who is a level-headed half-elf. He's the one that's kind of in charge of this temple, and he's very obvious because he's the only one not totally freaking out in here. And he will look to the characters for a plan of escape. So if they get in through the back door, you want to make sure that the party, or the group that was out front, is still hammering in that door. They don't know what's going on inside, and if they get in, it's going to be bad. And this might be a good opportunity to maybe get out an hourglass or set a timer. Or if you don't have those readily available, you can make every hit the door, and it does like 5 HP damage to the door, and there's like 30 total, and you want to count that down so the players, they shouldn't be relaxed here. Like, they're very much under attack, and if those doors do break down, they have to fight the group from the first group, which is the 1 Dragon Claw, 2 cultists, and 6 kobolds. The book takes it a step further by saying that every round, a kobold kills a citizen. So that can totally raise the stakes, and that can make a whole new level of chaos to this whole situation here. But if the characters can somehow get the people inside the temple out and rescue them, they can make a sprint towards the keep, and everybody will be happy in the end of that. So this is going to be one of those ones where you as a DM can be really creative and come out with different outcomes for however your party decides to handle this thing. And this is where you're going to learn improvisation is key if you want to be a DM. Okay, so now after you have decided which missions you want to run, again, I suggest maybe doing 3 of these. You don't have to do all 6 of them, but out of all of these, you definitely want to do the dragon attack one. You want to set that up. You want to get that dragon out of there. That should be a mandatory one. The others you can make up and do as you please. If you even just want to do 1 more of these, that's totally fine. Give your party enough to work with here. But at the end of all of this, the raiders eventually pack up and they start to leave, and the fires start to go down, and people are starting to get their belongings together, and it seems like the chaos is dying down. But then all of a sudden, and you want to make this theatrical as you can, whether the players are in the keep or they're out in the streets somewhere helping some town folk, wherever they may be, there is going to be a voice calling out, and it's going to be a deep voice of a half-dragon. Your players will learn to be Lindragosa Cyanrath. He is a half-blue dragon, and he's the champion of all these cultists that have been raiding this poor town. And he's very impressed with the heroes in this. He didn't expect so much retaliation and so much aid from such a small group of people. And he is going to set up a one-on-one fight with, quote, the best that the party has, or the best that this town has. And you should have a player in your party that will totally jump at the chance to just prove themselves. It'll probably be your fighter, or it'll probably be your paladin, or somebody like that. Somebody that's full of themselves. Well, not really, but somebody that is skilled with one-on-one combat and doesn't back down from a challenge. This is a situation that is designed to absolutely whoop that player. They are going up against a half-dragon that is a challenge rating 4. He has 60 hit points almost. He has a breath attack. It's lightning-based. He hits hard. He will totally take out your character or your player in, if not the first round, definitely the second round. And he's probably not going to take hardly any damage from your player. That's totally fine. This is to set up further rivalry with this character, and if it's done right, it'll have a great story arc in the end, especially for that player. The stakes are pretty high here. This Lindragosa, he won't back down. He has 4 prisoners that he's taken from the town. He says if nobody accepts his challenge, he will kill him. He'll just straight up kill him, and he doesn't want any help at all. This is a strictly one-on-one fight, and if anybody intervenes, the prisoners die, It's just going to be a high-stakes situation, and it should feel very tense. And it's going to be an awesome opportunity. It was at my table. My player, he had a great time with this. He knew he was going to get crushed by this guy. The party was kind of rooting him on, even though it didn't happen for him. But it should be noted that as soon as your player hits 0 hit points, the town rushes to his aid, and they're going to give him or her all the first aid that they need. They're going to heal him with spells, whatever it may be. But at the end of this, that's when your party can finally take a long rest and enjoy the rest of their night, wake up in the next morning, and kind of feel refreshed, and let's see where we can go from here. And that concludes episode 1 of Hoard of the Dragon Queen. At the end of this chapter, you get to say the words that every D&D player wants their DM to say. You have leveled up. Yes, you can level your players up to level 2, and then we will go on to the next chapter from here. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you've been browsing through the YouTube and come across this video, give me a like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.